Part 147. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1461. Wu Zhanling suddenly blushed. Luo Cheng held his crutches with both hands. You are so powerful, your achievements must be higher than those of your parents. Of course Feng Qingyun would not miss this opportunity to squeeze on Wu Zhanling, and said with a smile, "Yes, Comrade Wu Zhanling, we all want to know your achievements. It is your achievements and your glory. Don't you want to know about my family? Why are you asking me? The family structure of our family is not decided by me alone." Wu Zhanling responded quickly. "We are a diplomatic family, and Zhan Peng will also be the best diplomat in the future. It's not something you, a singer, can reach. Be wise and get away from me immediately, and don't pester my brother." Feng Qingyun put her hands on her chest, looking frightened. "From a diplomatic family, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. So scared." Lu Erxiang rushed over excitedly, looking Wu Zhanling up and down with his big eyes, then turned to Feng Qingxiu and said, "Mom, come and see, we are from a diplomatic family." Before Feng Qingxiu had time to answer, Luo Cheng said angrily, "How many years has it been since the founding of the People's Republic of China?" "In his early 20s, from a far-fetched diplomatic family." Wu Shen, Xiao Washaneo, 2 legs just pulled out of the mud. "I don't even know when he became a nobleman. When did aristocratic families and aristocrats become the stuff of the old society? Except for Tangji, a capitalist lady with a better background, Luo Cheng's other daughters-in-law are ordinary people, ordinary in all aspects, and Luo Cheng never lets his family think of themselves as the son of a famous family member." "Noble?" Luo Cheng sneered. "He likes the Lu family, and he likes Lu Zhang the most. Now that he is considered successful, the Lu family still says that they are an ordinary family. Whether they treat people with higher status or ordinary people, their attitude is neither humble nor arrogant, and they treat everyone equally. Of course, everyone in the Lu family, at least from the oldest generation, respects the older generation of revolutionaries. This mentality is really rare." After hearing Luo Cheng's words, Wu Zhanling said angrily, "Who are you? I didn't talk to you, why did you interrupt?" A middle-aged woman and a young woman following Wu Zhanling pulled on Wu Zhanling's lapel at the same time. The former whispered, "Zhanling, the old comrade is followed by a few guards." Wu Zhanling was stunned. The guards following Luo Cheng had already rushed to Luo Cheng's side and put themselves in a protective position. At this moment, Wu Zhanling finally calmed down and her expression changed. Feng Qingxiu left Dun Dun and Zhuang behind and walked to Feng Qingyun. "Xiaoyun, what's going on?" She heard everything, but pretended not to hear it. Wu Zhanpeng's image in his heart was once again reduced. In addition to having a mother with eyes above her head, it seemed that she also had an equally bitter sister. Lu Zhang didn't have time to elaborate yesterday, but he bumped into it today. God's arrangement was really thoughtful. Feng Qingyun turned her head and replied, "We were walking peacefully, and suddenly an aunt from a diplomatic family rushed out and said her name was Wu Zhanling. She pointed at my nose and said I was wishful thinking. Young lady from a diplomatic family, let me take a look." Feng Qingxiu turned her head and looked at Wu Zhanling for a few times, then suddenly sighed. "Sister, why are you sighing?" Feng Qingyun asked curiously. Feng Qingxiu said softly, "If the children of a diplomatic family are like this, high-minded, arrogant, and mean, I really feel sad for our country." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1462. A word is like a slap. Several slaps hit Wu Zhanling's face in a row, crackling loudly. "You." Wu Zhanling was about to get angry when she suddenly remembered that Feng Qingyun's sister was Lu Jiang's wife, Feng Qingxiu, and Lu Jiang was one of the youngest army commanders. He was now in charge of the long-live army and had great power. Those with military power and those without military power are simply the difference between heaven and earth. Wu Zhanling dared to boss around Feng Qingyunyi, but she didn't dare to boss around Feng Qingxiu. Besides, there was an old man beside him who knew the details of his family but whom he didn't recognize and who was accompanied by guards. When the word "you" came to her lips, Wu Zhanling didn't know how to continue. Feng Qingxiu smiled slightly, protected her sister and child behind her, and said politely, "Comrade Wu Zhanling, right? We were born in the countryside, poor peasants in Chaimen, with 2 muddy legs and have never been able to get on the stage. You are from a diplomatic family and a noble family, and we still it's really too high to reach. You don't have to be so aggressive and frighten our children." Lu Erxian was very good at stealing the spotlight. He immediately patted his chest with his hands intertwined. "I'm so scared, so scared. I was so scared that I had to skip a bowl of rice at night, my roast duck." The roast duck that Luo Cheng finally asked someone to buy became his. "Xiaoxiu, what you said is wrong. How outstanding are our children! They are well educated and sensible, so outstanding that others cannot reach them." Luo Cheng muttered immediately, "They are all idiots, who is more noble than the other? The so-called aristocratic family has long been wiped out, and I have to repeat this fact again and again." The middle-aged women and young women next to Wu Zhanling suddenly blushed and said to Wu Zhanling, "We, the 2 of us, can't afford it. Comrade Wu Zhanling, take your leave. I'll ask the father to send the money for the roast duck to your family tonight." After saying that, the middle-aged woman took her daughter and left in a hurry. And Yi, Mingli, Wu Zhanling followed 2 steps closely, turned around before catching up, and said to Feng Qingyun, "You'd better be self-aware, a singer, and don't pester our Zhanpeng." "Wait a minute," Feng Qingxiu called out to her. Wu Zhanling was eager to chase someone and said impatiently, "That's it for what I've said. I heard that your sister is very self-aware and knows the importance of being well matched. What else do you want to say?" This incident has attracted the attention of many people, but Wu Zhanling herself has no self-awareness. Feng Qingxiu pulled her sister, looked around at everyone, and said seriously, "Since the founding of the People's Republic of China, all professions have been regardless of high or low. Please take back the extremely insulting word singer. In addition, although we 2 sisters are the daughter of a poor farmer in the countryside has no power, but a clean reputation is very important. I must make it clear here, so that no one can misunderstand that my sister is trying to get along with others. My sister is 16 years old, conscientious, and responsible. I just want to do my job well, and I am not thinking about lifelong matters at the moment. You don't need to hurt others because you are worried that you are not in the right family. Again, as you said yourself, your Wu family has a noble family background, and we cannot climb up to it. Rise. Yes, it's too high to reach," Feng Qingyun said seriously. "Please tell Comrade Wu Zhanpeng not to pester me again in the future. Who did I, a peaceful little girl, provoke? She brought me such a big trouble." These 3 chapters are the result of 4 hours. I will continue to type and will be updated around 10 o'clock. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1463. After Wu Zhanling escaped, she came out to see Luo Cheng get into the car. Zibao ignored the surprised expressions of others when they saw the car. He curiously asked Luo Chendao, "Grandpa Luo, if their family is very noble, why do I haven't seen her in the compound? I've met many people from my grandfather's family, and she doesn't know you either." Often following the old leader, Zibao knew many domestic dignitaries and foreign guests, including almost everyone who worked in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Affairs. Wu Sheng, he knew him. He had only met him a few days ago. Before Wu Sheng went abroad, it seemed that he was preparing to fight for his country's rights and interests in the United Nations. He had never seen Wu Zhanling, who had such a high vision. Luo Cheng sat in the back seat and smiled slightly. The less confident a person is, the more they want to show off their nobility. Wu Sheng's death was only a few years ago. How could his children often come in and out of the compound? Even for the highest level activities, people other than Wu Sheng only participate in them not many times, let alone that he has retired for many years. It was normal for Wu Zhanling not to recognize him, but if he recognized him at a glance, he would feel strange. Zibao doesn't quite understand. He reached out from the car and patted Zibao's shoulder. Luo Cheng said, "You will understand when you grow up. Good boy, I will be back in a while. I hope you will still be in the capital by then." "Goodbye, Grandpa," Zibao waved, followed by Fubao and the triplets. "Fubao, you have to wait for me." Luo Peng leaned against the car window and shouted to Fubao, "I will be back soon." Lu Erxian pushed him back and leaned against the car window. "Grandpa, you still owe me 4 ducks." He counted several times, but there were not 9 roast ducks. Luo Cheng laughed loudly. Okay, Grandpa will treat you to roast duck next time he comes back. And boiled mutton, interest is a must." Lu Erxian remembered that he gave Brother Dundun a candy, and later he gave himself 2 candies. Brother Zibao said that was interest, so he also wanted interest. Okay, I'll treat you to hot-boiled mutton again." Luo Cheng liked Lu Erxian's cleverness. Feng Qingyuan was very close. "Old comrade, don't spoil Xiong all the time. Xiong is spoiled by everyone. A good child is not afraid of being spoiled." After Luo Cheng said this, he said to Feng Qingyuan, "Girl, let's do whatever we are supposed to do in a good manner. When you are 2 years older, I will introduce you to him. He's a good one. I know a lot of young talents, none of them are worse than the old boy from the Wu Sheng family, and there is no cunning or mean sister-in-law in the family." Feng Qingyuan shook his head and said, "I'm still young, so I just want to study hard. My sister gave me a lot of homework, and I didn't know the importance of foreign languages until I came back from traveling abroad. I have to pick it up again. She has been deeply influenced by the Lu family since she was a child, and she understands the importance of knowledge. Therefore, when she returned to the army, she brought back some of her sister's foreign language notes and some foreign language books. There were many talented people in the art troupe, and she could ask them for advice if she didn't understand something. As for Wu Zhanpeng, it seems that he went abroad and has not appeared since then, and his life has gradually become calmer. In the blink of an eye, it's October 26th. Today is Fubao's birthday. Although there is no birthday custom at present, Lu Zhang had no arrangements at work, so he naturally came back a day early. Huan Cheng and Zhong Wengxiu arrived on the same day, as well as Chen Suniang and Zheng Jinrui. Wang Xinchen and Guo Yan also wanted to come, but they were afraid of making too much noise and causing criticism, so they sent Wang Zonghua to take action. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1464. In the name of looking for Zibao, everyone knows that Wang Zonghua and Zibao are the best buddies. Hui, look at the new clothes my grandma made for you, and the new cotton padded jacket my mother asked an old tailor to make for you to wear when you're cold. Wang Zonghua opened the bag to present the treasure, and Guo Yan made he wears a red and blue plaid jacket and black corduroy trousers, but the most eye-catching thing is a small cotton padded jacket with a stand-up collar and buttons, with a bright red silk surface. Fubao groaned, hugging the red cotton padded jacket and saying in surprise, "What a beautiful cotton padded jacket. I like it so much. My mother didn't even make it for me." "Thank you, auntie, and brother Huahua. My name is not Huahua, you can call me brother Zonghua. Wang Zonghua once again corrected everyone's name for him. Fuebao said politely, brother China. Wang Zonghua was overjoyed and said, Huiwai, you are so good. Please remember from now on. Don't call me Huahua every day like your brother. He is not taller and younger than me, but you still think of yourself as your brother. It's so unloyal. You have to call me brother, Huahua, don't teach my sister a bad lesson. Zibao interrupted in protest. Wang Zonghua looked at the sky and pretended not to hear. At the same time, he was very distressed. How could he change Zibao's situation of treating himself as his elder brother? Fu Bao pursed his rosy mouth, scratched his white and tender ears, and immediately changed the subject. Brother Zonghua, your name is Wang Zonghua. It seems that I have an uncle from Zonghua, Luo Zonghua, who is a stinker dad. Why are there so many people called Zonghua? I've seen more than a dozen. Wang Zonghua immediately educated him, Fu Bao, don't pay attention to that stinky gangster Luo Peng in the future. Anyone who wanted to marry you as a little wife when you were a child was a gangster. There is a saying that the country is easy to change and the nature is hard to change. When you grow up, you will change. If you become a big hooligan, you may play hooliganism on other pretty girls. Our Fu Bao is unique in the world and is far away from the big hooligans. Well, I listen to brother Zonghua and ignore the stinky gangsters. Fu Bao nodded his head. Today he had 2 small hairpins on his head, and the water-red headband wrapped around them trembled like a butterfly. Because he didn't go out, Fuebao, the birthday boy, dressed up inappropriately. Untimely is relative to the outside world. In the eyes of his family, Fuebao is really cute and smart. Feng Qingxiu ignored the children's childlike words and greeted Zhong Wengziu warmly. Wengziu, although this is your first time here, don't be so restrained in your own home. There are many children in my family and they are very noisy. If you talk and play, you will cause trouble. When it comes to you, just for Akin's sake, don't be angry, I'll beat them up later. Zhong Wengziu said shyly, Auntie, don't say that. Zibao and the others are very cute and polite. This is not a fuss, but a lively one. Grandpa said in the letter that life with Zibao is so happy. My mother and I had not been very filial to my grandfather, and were unable to do anything when my grandfather was in trouble. Thanks to the care of my aunt and the whole family, if he were transferred to another place, my grandfather would not live so comfortably and safely. When Zhong Wengziu said these words, her heart was full of gratitude. She was not a child who was inexperienced in the world, but because of her composition, she understood the situation of people like her grandfather better. It was my grandfather's good fortune to be sent to the Wangla Brigade and meet the Lu family. It was also my own good fortune. After hearing this, Feng Qingxiu pursed her lips and smiled, you just need to thank Akin. I have been away from home for many years. After Akin became your grandpa's disciple, your grandpa did a lot of things himself. I thanked him. Zhong Wengziu's face turned red with embarrassment. Does offering her body count? Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1465. Yes, of course. Feng Qingxiu saw Zhong Wengziu's thoughts and thought with a smile, this is a great deal. After laughing, Feng Qingxiu began to sigh again. Before I knew it, my children started talking about marriage one after another, and I was immediately promoted to become a grandmother. It was like time was making me grow old. Touching her face, she quickly went to the mirror. Seeing that the skin around her eyes was still white, smooth, and wrinkle-free, Feng Qingxiu felt a little relieved from her resentment at the rapid passage of time. Sister, you don't need to look in the mirror. You are still the most beautiful among us. Brother-in-law, don't you think so? Lu Zhang was talking to Father Lu, Zheng Jinrui, and others, and took the time to reply, yes. No, Zheng Jinrui put down the teapot in his hand, shook his head, and said to Feng Qingyun, "Little girl, what you said is wrong. You can't tell lies without conscience." Feng Qingyun stuck out her tongue and let out a long, drawn-out sound. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, she knows, she understands. She smiled and looked at Chen Swiniang, who was trying on new clothes for the triplets. "Sister Swiniang, did you hear that? Brother Zhang said that I was acting against my conscience." Listen to his nonsense. Chen Swiniang didn't even raise her head. Lu Tianjun and Zhang Xiaoyu arrived later. When they heard these words when they entered the door, Zhang Xiaoyu said, "Who is talking nonsense?" Feng Qingxiu pulled Zhang Xiaoyu's wrist and felt her pulse. "You're pregnant. Why don't you get a good rest? Even though it's Fu Bao's birthday, it's not an important day. It's an important day for Fu Bao, don't you think so?" "Yes," Fu Bao happily agreed with Zhang Xiaoyu and said happily, "Sister-in-law, I received a lot of gifts, including several new clothes and new shoes. I am very happy. Look at what brother Zonghua and his mother made for me. Red cotton jacket." Zhang Xiaoyu took a look at it and said, "It's made of silk. The color suits you very well. If you like it, my sister-in-law will buy it for you next time." Silk is a high-priced commodity, and Hangzhou Silk Factory is the most famous, so no tickets are required. Fu Bao hugged her red cotton padded jacket, shook his head and said, "My Chinese brother's aunt made it for me. My sister-in-law saved the money to make new clothes for my little nephew and buy milk powder. The baby needs to drink a lot of milk powder, like his younger brother same." "It's my little niece," Zhang Xiaoyu corrected. She did not change her mind about having a daughter. "No, it's my little nephew." Fu Bao looked at the old clothes on her brothers, then at her new clothes and the beautiful jewelry her mother said she would give her in the future. She didn't want her little niece to take away everyone's love for her. Love, must be a little nephew. Zhang Xiaoyu wanted to tell her that men and women had a 50-50 chance, so Lu Tianjun rolled up his sleeves and said with a smile, okay, what are you telling my little sister? Don't you know when you are born a boy or a girl? Don't you know it when the time comes? The food is not as good as you like, can you put it back? You sit and chat with the grandmothers and aunts while I cook. Akin, come over and help. Zibao, it's time for you to learn to cook." Therefore, Lu Zhang and his two nephews prepared the two big tables for Fu Bao's birthday. Zibao probably handed over a bowl, found a pair of chopsticks, and set the dishes. The lesbians were left to relax. Zhong Wengzia was surprised because in her impression, her mother and sister-in-law were the ones doing the cooking at home, not her father and brother. "Both men and women in our family can cook and share housework. You will get used to it in the future." Guancheng gave her a chopstick of meat. In the past, men took charge of the outside and women took charge of the house because lesbians did not have the opportunity to go out to work. Now lesbians work and earn money just like gay men, and of course housework cannot be placed on one person's shoulders. My writing is not going well today. I will update it with 10,000 words. No more updates. Tickets for the game. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1466. After the meal, the gay men also cleared the table and dishes. Zhong Wengzia felt very embarrassed and wanted to help, but Feng Qingxiu held her back. Their elders are thick-skinned, so let them wash the dishes. We girls with delicate skin and tender flesh should not get wet, so as not to make your hands rough. Although Zhong Wengzia can basically be regarded as one of her own family members, she is a coquettish customer even if she is not married. How can there be any reason to let a coquettish customer work? At this moment, Feng Qingxiu selectively forgot the fact that she had to cook for the first time when she arrived at the Lu family. Mom, you can rub clam oil on your hands after washing dishes, so that your hands won't be rough, Fu Bao interjected. Feng Qingxiu glanced at her and said, then go and help your father and brother. The clam oil at home is enough for you. Today is your 7th birthday, which means that after today, you will be 8 years old. Others our children have already started doing housework at this age. Fu Bao shook his head. He felt that it was not enough, so he also used his hands. He waved his hands vigorously in front of him. Mom, I am so young and my hands are so tender. You have the heart to let me wash them every day, no matter how hard you wash them. Is the bowl finished? No amount of clam oil can make up for the suffering of my little hands. Besides, I am the birthday boy. If the birthday boy does not work, he will suffer endlessly. After giving birth to 5 of you, I have to wash diapers, clothes and stinky socks every day. I am so tired. Feng Qingxiu slapped her forehead rudely. Every time I ask you to learn to do housework, you do it? What will happen when you grow up? Although she does not recommend that all housework should be placed on female compatriots, they should be able to do housework and at least take care of themselves. Independence is not only financial independence, but also independence in life. Therefore, she did not spoil her children in this regard. She taught them everything they should and often encouraged them to learn with various rewards. Lu Zhang, who couldn't cook before getting married, is now Chef Lu, and I believe the children can't either. So inferior, they all have her genes. Fu Bao hugged her arm and smiled sweetly, not mentioning that when she was a child, she clearly saw that the diapers were washed by her father, brother, Aunt Tian, and others. Mom, you and Grandpa and Dad raised me, and I will provide for you in the future. I won't let you suffer anymore. As for me, Mom, don't worry. Sister-in-law Xiaoyu and sister-in-law Wangxiu are so blessed. My name is Fu Bao, and I will be even more blessed in the future. Zhang Xiaoyu laughed so hard that tears came out, and said to Zhong Wengxiu on the side, she has made up her mind to find a revolutionary comrade who can wash clothes, cook, and clean the house, so that she doesn't have to work. She is such a villain, so I knew how to plan for myself since I was young. Zhong Wengxiu pursed her lips and smiled. She is right to think so. We are both very lucky. She likes the atmosphere of the Lu family. She can feel the head of the family's tolerance and respect for women everywhere, which makes people very relaxed. No matter how the young people talk and laugh, the old man nods along and does not criticize their occasional inappropriate remarks. She just wants to be lazy, Feng Qingxiu said, usually not as diligent as Zibao. Wang Zonghua and Zibao helped bring the bowl back and put it into the small cupboard. They turned around and said, Auntie, don't say that about Huiwai. Huiwai is a very cute sister. She can draw beautiful paintings at such a young age. Grandma said, Huiwai, my hands are for painting. Feng Qingxiu handed him a towel to wipe his hands. It's what you are used to. Everyone has a share, Wang Zonghua chuckled. When he saw the clam oil that Fu Bao brought over, he originally wanted to say that a man would not use clam oil, but when he saw Fu Bao's big, watery eyes, he stretched out his hand and took it from the shell. He picked a little and put it on his hands, and rubbed them together. Thank you, Huiwai, it smells great. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1467. After the children finished eating the cream cake, they wanted to go out and play. In addition to the campus of Capital University, there was also the summer palace nearby. Feng Qingxiu changed Fu Bao into old clothes, put on 2 new braids, and put on a red headband. Lu Zhang asked a guard to follow him. Guan Chen was worried and pulled Zhong Wengxiu to follow. Only Dun Dun and Zhuang Zhuang didn't go out. Zhuang Zhuang was about to fall asleep with his eyes blurred, while Dun Dun sat next to Lu's father and tilted his ears. As he grows older, Dun Dun likes to listen to adults talking more and more. He is not as noisy as Lu Erxian to show his presence everywhere, and he is not like Zhuang Zhuang who is always clinging to his mother. Often the adults talk a lot at once, and then turn around to drink water only to find that there is a little kid in front of him who is listening. Be motivated. Dun Dun? When did you sit here? Zheng Jinrui almost spit out the water he just drank. Dun Dun blinked his big eyes, always there. Zheng Jinrui didn't know what to say. This little guy was completely ignored by them. Dun Dun has been like this since he was a child. Of course, it's because our parents don't care enough about Dun Dun. Feng Qingxiu felt ashamed and looked at Dun Dun who was sitting on the small stool. Dun Dun looked back at her mother without knowing why, pointing to Zhuang Zhuang who was leaning in her arms. Zhuang Zhuang is asleep, Mom. Feng Qingxiu lowered her head and said, Mom, send my brother back to the house. Go quickly. Dun Dun waved his little hand and turned to look at Lu Tianjun. Brother Tianjun, keep talking. Okay, I'll go on, but where did I say it? Lu Tianjun was always responsive to his younger brothers and sisters, especially this honest and obedient Dun Dun. An honest child is easy to be ignored, but it will not reduce everyone's love for him. Dun Dun said, Brother Tianjun, did you come first in the martial arts competition? Of course, your brother has been the number one for 3 consecutive years and is a sharpshooter, Zhang Xiaoyu said proudly. In fact, she also felt that her attention to Dun Dun was not as good as that of the other children, so naturally she wanted to correct it, because these both children are very good. Next time, your brother and I will take you to the compound for target practice and teach you how to play with a gun. For the big guys, guns and ammunition are not rare things at all. Dun Dun was very happy to hear this, but he bargained, there are also brothers and sisters, as well as Erxian and Zhuang Zhuang. Zhang Xiaoyu was stunned for a moment, then smiled and nodded, okay, our Dun Dun is such a good boy, not only a good younger brother, but also a good older brother. Dun Dun is such a good boy, we have all neglected him too much. Chen Xuanyang followed into the bedroom and said to Feng Qingxiu. Feng Qingxiu covered her youngest son with a quilt and turned around and said, yes, honest children are the easiest to be ignored, but sometimes I don't know what to do. He is not as naughty as Xiong and makes me furious. It's not like Zhuang Zhuang, who is frail and sick and frightens me. He is always obedient, and he doesn't argue or fight. I'm really afraid that he will be disadvantaged in the future. God will not treat kind people badly. Dun Dun's blessing lies behind. However, we do have to change the way we treat Dun Dun. We cannot make the good boy who least worries his parents suffer. That's what I think. The children are getting older. Even if a bowl of water is uneven, it can't be too much. Feng Qingxiu felt that she could not leave bad memories for her children. Care must start from childhood. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1468. Chen Xuanyang hummed, took out a small box from her pocket and handed it to her. What is this? Feng Qingxiu asked. A birthday gift for Fu Bao, Chen Xuanyang said with a smile. In the old days, families with better family conditions began to save dowries for their daughters when they were very young. They saved a little a year. Unknowingly, by the time she had a very generous dowry when she got married. As Fu Bao grows up, it's time for us to save a dowry for her. As the only girl in the family, Fu Bao deserves the best. Is it jewelry? Chen Xuanyang prepares birthday gifts for her children every year. For boys, it's basically clothes and shoes. For Fu Bao, she always adds jewelry on top of this. Sometimes it's one piece, sometimes it's a set. Chen Xuanyang smiled and nodded, I bought a pair of bracelets on the black market a few days ago. They look quite beautiful. Feng Qingxiu opened it and saw a pair of jadeite bracelets with floating flowers on the ice. The texture was delicate and the structure was tight. The old water grew cold light. The most beautiful thing was the colorful flowers, which looked like blue water plants rippling in the clear water. The asking price is 5 yuan, and after bargaining, you get 3 yuan. This is the least valuable thing on the black market. Feng Qingxiu closed the box and said with a smile, you can't let Fu Bao see it until she grows up. Girls should dress up beautifully. Chen Xuanyang likes Fu Bao's character. She actually likes to dress up, but the times don't allow it, so she can only show others with a simple face. I still have a lot of things in my hand. In addition to the jewelry as betrothal gifts for the boys, the rest will be given to Fu Bao. Sister, don't spoil her like this. Besides, it's not like I don't have anything in my hands. There were boxes of jewelry in Feng Qingxiu's space. When Lu Tianjun introduced Zhang Xiaoyu to the door, Feng Qingxiu gave Zhang Xiaoyu a box of jewelry. Today when Guancheng brought her daughter-in-law home, she also took out a box of jewelry to give to Zhong Wengziu. Before they left, they called to the bedroom. Of course, the amount cannot be compared with Lu Tianjun's. Among the jewelry given to Zhang Xiaoyu were things left by Lu Tianjun's parents. Just such a box of jewelry was enough to make Zhong Wengziu feel flattered. She waved her hand hurriedly, "Aunt, I can't accept it. I really can't accept it. It's better to leave it to Fu Bao or Zi Bao's wife in the future. Just take it if it's given to you. Don't be polite to me. I treat my nephews and daughters-in-law equally. There are also some who I can use to make money in the black market." Feng Qingxiu stuffed it into her hand. The specific situation of the Guan family, Akendu told you that the burden of revitalizing the Guan family will fall on you too from now on, and you can't count on that brat Au. Guancheng waved his hand, "Auntie, although I bought it, the money was given by you and we can't accept it." "Yes, Aunt, we can't take it in, and I live in the army and have no place to put it," Zhong Wengziu said. Although she did not enjoy the generous life of a capitalist after she was born, she lived with her mother and grew up better than ordinary people. With more knowledge, she knows what kind of things are valuable. This box of jewelry and jade is worth a lot of money. Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, "You have no place to put it, so ask Aken to keep it for you." After hearing this, Zhong Wengziu still wanted to refuse. She felt that she deserved it. The Lu family had raised the two Guancheng brothers and trained them so well. They were already very kind and she was grateful. How could they divide the Lu family's property again? In an era like this, it must have taken a lot of effort to preserve this little property. At this time, Guancheng said, "Thank you, Auntie, then I will accept it on Wengziu's behalf." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1469. On the way back to the army in Guancheng, Zhong Wengziu couldn't help complaining in a low voice, "Why do you take it so naturally?" She was so embarrassed that her face turned red. While speaking, she did not forget to glance at Feng Qingyun, who was walking far ahead. They were not in the same military branch as Lu Tianjun and his wife, and they parted ways when they reached the military area. If Zhang Xiaoyu was around, she would definitely make fun of them. One was unwilling to leave, and the other was unwilling to step into the camp immediately. Zhong Wengziu no longer cared about this. She only felt that the box of jewelry that Guancheng kept was very hot to the touch. Guancheng said in a low voice, "Look at Auntie's appearance, can you not accept her?" "Auntie, our family always talks about the same. We will keep it in our hearts and repay it in the future. For now, let's follow Auntie's instructions." He knew in his heart that there would always be a chance to repay Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu, although he would never be able to repay them clearly. The kindness of upbringing cannot be repaid no matter what you do. Auntie is so kind. She gave it to Comrade Xiaoyu in private. She didn't have to tell us. We didn't know, so naturally we wouldn't say she was partial. but she prepared one for me. This is more than just a bowl of water is fair, but it favors us because Comrade Tianjun is a child of the Lu family and Comrade Xiaoyu is the daughter-in-law of the Lu family. They are qualified to inherit the Lu family's property, but we are not. Zhong Wengzia was filled with emotion. Comrade Aiken, how lucky you are to meet them, and how lucky I am to meet you. Guancheng took her hand and said with a smile, since you said so, how about filing the wedding report as soon as possible? Lu Tianjun will have his own baby next year, and as an older brother, he is very anxious. Zhong Wengzia's face turned red and she said in a low voice, okay. When will it be handed in? Guancheng asked worriedly. Tomorrow, hand it in tomorrow, I've written it all. Zhong Wengzia pushed Guancheng and quickly caught up with Feng Qingyun. When she saw Feng Qingyun's eyes, she couldn't help but cover her face, but in the autumn wind, her face was still very hot. The beauty of Guancheng and the atmosphere of the Lu family gave her the courage to get married without having to worry about suffering the same hardships as her mother. Guancheng wanted to dance to show his joy. When he returned to Lu's house in the evening, he was still beaming with joy, which made Zheng Jinrui joke, hey, your dream came true. Uncle Zheng, just wait and drink at the wedding bar, Guancheng said happily. He is usually gentle and reserved, but rarely behaves so openly. Everyone can feel his joy. Father Lu put his hands on his hands and smiled, okay, this is a big happy event. I hope I can drink your wedding wine before I go home. Grandpa, are you going back? Guancheng asked. Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu's family of 7 all looked at Father Lu at the same time. Father Lu smiled and said, it will be November soon. By the time I get home by train, all the things at home will be busy. There is no point in going back. After all, I will go back with Zibao next year. Feng Qingxiu breathed a sigh of relief, almost thinking that Father Lu was going to take Zibao back immediately. After the work points are calculated and the food is divided, ask Tianzi and Au to come to the capital. Let's have a good new year. After listening to Feng Qingxiu's words, Lu's father and Guancheng nodded. Lu's father said, it's a good thing to call them over, so as to save them 2 brothers from having no one to control them and causing chaos. Lu Tianzi and Guan Yu are not Guancheng and Lu Tianjun who have strong self-awareness. They may really act lawlessly. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1470. In 1972, it arrived during a heavy snowfall. Lu Tianzi and Guan Yu arrived earlier than Dixu, and the triplets almost went crazy. Although Lu Tianzi and Guan Yu have grown up, their childlike innocence has not been lost. The 2 brothers grew up in the Wanglu Brigade and can come up with 100,000 ways to play. Even Dun Dun always knows brother Tianzi and brother Au, and Zhuang is not clingy. Mom. Fortunately, Feng Qingxiu sent out the cotton jackets, cotton trousers, cotton shoes, gloves, and socks prepared for the elderly, including her grandparents in her previous life, as well as her parents who were only a few years old. She also sent some malted milk, canned food, etc. to her parents. Candy, grain, food stamps and money, she would send these things anonymously every year before the Chinese New Year. In previous lives, grandparents always talked about how hard their parents suffered when they were young. Although they did not go through the 3 difficult years, supplies were scarce in the 1960s and 1970s, and the elderly members of the 2 families were not good. Therefore, when their parents were 10 years old, they were still like 5 or 6-year-old children. It was not until they were rehabilitated that they slowly grow up. A large part of the materials in the space come from the inheritance left to me by my parents, so it is natural to pay tribute to them now. She also sent some things to Lu Jiang's comrades. After finishing, Feng Qingxiu sent several medical papers she had written to international medical newspapers. After being verified word by professors from the Department of Foreign Languages and the School of Medicine, they were already perfect. She always felt that her medical skills were stagnant. Although she learned the theory thoroughly, she could not keep up with the technology. She told Professor Xia about this while she was giving him clothes and shoes. Several old professors who had taught her carefully were involved, but their winter coats were so worn that they were clumped together and did not keep them warm at all. Some of these clothes, shoes, and socks are made by myself, using cotton and fabrics found in the space, and some are purchased ready-made clothes. With the help of Chen Xuanyang and Zheng Jinrui, these things are easy to obtain. Touching the soft and warm cotton-padded jacket that was worn on his body, Professor Xia's eye circles suddenly turned red, and he kept saying, "I didn't expect that after decades of teaching, I would be helped by you in this difficult time. You should respect your teachers and respect your teachings." Feng Qingxiu has always regarded the sentence as the principle of life. Professor Xia hummed, with a nasal sound, and the topic turned back to Feng Qingxiu's problem, and he said, "You are right to think so. In theory, I have no knowledge to teach you. I can't. I guess the medical school the same goes for the two professors. Those chicken feathers can't even match your medical skills, let alone teach you." Ji Fio refers to teaching assistants. When Feng Qingxiu first started school, some of the teachers who gave lectures were teaching assistants. They had only been in college for a year or two and had not mastered professional knowledge at all. They showed their timidity within 2 days of teaching students. With the return of some teachers, some more self-aware teaching assistants follow the lectures instead of giving lectures, but some are still very talented. The reason why they are called chicken feathers is because when they are doing sports, they often say, "Who said chicken feathers can't fly into the sky?" Professor Xia mentioned Ji Fei in a mocking tone. He has been influenced by Ji Fei's idleness in the past 2 years, and continued, "The most important thing you need to do now is to go to the hospital and get in touch with patients, so that you can turn theory into practice. You can't keep talking on paper. Look at those famous doctors, who have not experienced thousands of patients. A large part of their fame comes from their accumulated experience.